Okay, so this is game number one. This is the first set of the club number one, WizKid versus Brassbeat. Now, this set has already happened, but we're going to be commentating over it after, just so we've got some commentary for it. So, first game was Hare and Hounds, and if you don't already know, this is a best of 4 in these rounds. This is just round 1 to start, and so John's bans are Hex, Renegade, 4 in a row, and Brassbeat's bans are Speed, Toy Curling, and Billiards. And for Hare and Hounds, the rules are we play 2 games, so where each player plays as the hare once for fairness, and instantly here, pretty much straight away from a massive misplay from John, Brassbeat manages to win this set. Oh, this game, rather. So now changing over to Brassbeat being Hounds now.
Hey, I'm back.
Alright, welcome back. I'm just commentating over the matches.
Alright.
Okay, so as we know, after 30 turns, the player who is the hare ends up getting an instant win, and right now that person is John in this set, or was John. And I believe this is the point where we actually get to a constant back and forth of the same few moves. So if it did continue like this, then John would have actually got the win. Yeah, this is where it got to. So there were only 6 turns left for John to get the win. For some reason, going in the middle there, Brassbeat then able to move the hound forward and then take the win. So that ended up for Brassbeat getting both games of Hare and Hounds. So he took the first point. So it's now 1-0. And the next game was Toy Baseball, which was skipped. Moving straight on, though, to Riichi Mahjong. And I haven't actually marked out where this game starts, so I'm going to have to get it up now. Here it is. That was pretty quick. Managed to find it.
Optimizations for next time commentating.
Yeah, so Toy Baseball was skipped, and one skip is allowed in this set where there's best of 4s. So that is the one skip that is used. Unless it is a heavy RNG game, which we've already defined the 6 games that are heavy RNG.
Alright, so fun fact, you can't actually see it now, but in this game I actually went for orphans. I got dealt 8, so...
You went for what, sorry?
I went for orphans here.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna see the attempts will end quite quickly.
Yeah.
T.
Yeah, so for people watching, this is from John's perspective, and then Brassbeat's tiles are on the right.
T.
But yeah, and I do struggle to commentate Riichi, so not really going to be amazing at this. Mainly because I don't really know what's going on most of the time, even when I am playing.
The problem with commentating Riichi is really that we can't see the other player's hands.
Yeah, it is a big problem.
Like, in most online clients, if you like have a game saved or something, then you can just have it set so that it shows every hand when you replay. Not here, obviously.
Riichi.
here the thing is, John's really got a couple of options of what hand to go for. I think the most likely thing to do would be to take something like terminals or terminal foundations and
Yeah, that's the best play here.
terminal foundations with Sanshoku Dojun, I forget the English name, or the name that this kind of gives it. 3 straight run, something like that.
Yeah, whatever it is, you know more than I do.
Tricolor run.
Yeah, tricolor run. Going for terminal foundations, tricolor run would have been actually quite a good number of points.
Yeah. CPU2 clearing, getting the win, and actually taking points from John quite early here. Bad start for John's perspective, especially because John is already going into Riichi 1-0 down. So if this does go in John's in Brassbeat's favour, then it's a very unwanted for John early lead.
The good thing to note for John here, though, is that Brassbeat didn't win, and Brassbeat will have to actually win Riichi to get the points.
So we see a little pause here. Obviously, that is a little cue, knowing that someone has a call, and obviously Brassbeat went for pawn there.
Opening your hand up that early is always an interesting decision.
Well, it sort of makes sense when, like, at this point, I was pretty sure John had literally never played Riichi before.
Yeah, John actually went into this tournament. Basically, a few weeks before the tournament, he did an all games finish run, and that was the first time he played Riichi. And before the tournament, I don't think he plays it again before it. So, yeah, he probably didn't know he was doing that much.
That's not a great spot to be put in.
Yeah, I mean, I have played Riichi several times, and I still don't know what I'm doing. So, that's why I do ban it a lot of the time.
They're discarding the 2-zo is really questionable. You want to be discarding the 9-zo there. And John just keeps discarding any pair that he gets, which is pretty much the opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah, it's quite questionable.
Questionable is even, like, being generous.
Yeah, questionable and a misplay. Two different things.
Your Brass, I think it looks like you're going for Tanyao, all simples.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure I ended up winning this round.
I mean, Open Tanyao, pretty much the easiest hand to get in Riichi Mahjong. And definitely one that you want to be going for more often than not.
Or at least
if you just want to win a quick hand.
John considering Riichi here, instead decided not to go for it, staying 1 to Tenpai. Again, questionable.
That would have been an amazing Riichi.
That would have been a fantastic time to call Riichi, but for the fact that there are almost none of those 3 weights left. If you look at the discards, there's only 1 6 left, 1 6 pin. There's only 2 3 pin, and I think there's only like 1 or 2 9 pin left. 1 even. So even though it looks like a great weight on paper, it really isn't that good when you look at all the discards.
Yeah, despite that, Brass able to get sumo there, which is yet again going to take points off everyone, so damaging John again, and it's giving him quite a good lead. Not against CPU2 though.
Brassbeat is in huge
Who's
lead
still in
right
the lead.
now, so going to get even more points for winning, as well as going to repeat the round.
Yeah, so as Oru just said, repeating the round because it's East seat. So we're staying on East 2.
Here, John's hand is really looking quite good, actually. Lots of possibilities here. It's a bit overloaded on shapes. There's not a pair yet, but there's a lot of really good stuff going here. There's possibilities for terminal foundations if you don't discard the 9s, and the 9s get discarded. Still a possibility for a tricolor run, but really I think best bet for John here is to go for just all runs with Riichi. Reach Pinfu has gotten people through pretty much anything. Better than discarding the 1 there, I think discarding the 8-9 pin. It's just a worse shape than having 2-3 pin with a 1 pin pair.
I want to see Oru commentate my Riichi match, learning from the master himself. Yeah, yeah. I think your match is actually coming up as well. So which one is your in? What seed was it?
Riichi.
It was... Alright, Kyra versus Karma. So we've got Oru versus Lugia. That was quite a quick match, actually. And then Kyra versus Karma is straight after that. So we will probably get through those. Yeah. We will probably commentate that. And John getting Ron. Finally caved and ordered a real set of Mahjong tiles, which is Ponchamp.
Ponchamp, I love it.
We need emotes for all these.
Yeah. I think Ponchamp actually wouldn't be that difficult to make. I should consider trying to my limited graphical design skills to work. Immediately going for a chi call here, John is, and that is questionable to say the least. John is still very far from Tenpai, doesn't have really the best hand to be making an all simples hand. Like, you've still got 4 terminals to discard, or terminals and autos. Discarding the 8s though there is probably the worst thing, the 8s though there is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, Kyra asked him why John cheated there and didn't ditch Southwind. Basically, John, as I just said, he did an all games finish run a few weeks before the tournament, and that was the first time he actually played Riichi. And then, like, maybe he played like 1 or 2 times before the tournament, but I don't think he's got any medals on it yet. So, basically, he didn't really know what he was doing here. So that's the reason why he did that. Yeah, so even the game coming up with no hands to recommend there. Especially with the 3 Souths down, it's so confusing why you wouldn't discard South.
T.
Yeah, right here, John is falling into what I consider the classic trap of Riichi, where people will value their honor tiles and their terminals too highly, because if you get 3 of them, you can make a hand, but if you only have 1, it's really difficult to get more, is the problem, because you have to draw a second to even be able to make it, and the chances of drawing that second, and even just someone not having two of them in their hand already, is fairly low. So if you have a lone honor tile, even if it's like a dragon,
Pawn.
but especially if it's a wind that is not your seat wind or the round wind, it's just a classic trap to fall into because you can make bigger hands with honors, but they're harder to come by. So really what you want to be going for is it's better to have a lot of smaller things in your hand than to have one big honors-filled hand. Because you're more likely to hit on those smaller hands.
T.
Despite everything, though, John is still just 3 tiles away from getting somewhere.
Pawn.
That somewhere isn't great.
Yeah, brassbeat now as well, calling 7,700 points. Taken from south as well, CPU 2, which did make a big difference there, considering CPU 2 was in the lead.
Yes.
Going down to the final round now, East 4.
Now, John does have an out to win here, seeing as the difference between John and brassbeat right now is exactly 14,000 points.
Okay.
It's not that big a hand that John needs to make up the difference. I believe 4Han 30 Fu is enough. Any Mongon will be enough.
Yelling at me the whole time. Like,
I
what are you
think
saying?
3 Han 60 Fu
Why did you do
also
that?
works. So lots of different ways that John can still come out of this on top here. But all of those have to be on run from brassbeat. Whereas if you just get, say, a sumo hand, it has to be significantly larger. It has to be at least Hanemon. And run from anybody else has to be at least Baimon.
Hanuman is 1.5?
Yes, and Baimon is 2.
Okay.
Pawn. Pawn.
And if there was ever a chance, John has it right now. If you look at his hand, he's got the makings of something quite decent here. He's got 2 Dora tiles right now.
My jumper off.
He's got a couple of nice shapes. The one problem he has, he's still holding on to this south that he doesn't see a second of, which, I mean, it's fairly likely that the others are in someone else's hand. He's just drawn his pair, which is nice, but he also is still holding on to the red dragon, the Chun, which, again, isn't really helping him build his hand right now.
And discarding the pair there as well with the 9.
Yes, you never like to see someone discard their only pair. And even the big thing to remember in Riichi that a lot of people just forget about because they always think it's about building out your shapes. It's about building out your triplets. It's about building out all of those. It's not about that at all, because if you do that, you still have to find a pair somewhere.
Yeah, so brassbeat taking points off everyone else and managing to, I believe here, win. Yeah, John did get second, but nothing for second in this set. It's only scoring points for first place.
But yeah, something to remember, and something that this set is a really big reminder of. Discarding your only pair is very bad because even if you're trying to make something, a pair is useful in a lot of ways. If you draw a third one, then it can be your set, naturally, of 3. But even if you have 4 triplets at the end and you're waiting for your pair, it's almost impossible to get that pair because you're waiting on one of those 3 tiles and maybe some of them are already in the discards. maybe some of them are in other people's sets in their hands and they're never going to discard it themselves.
Alright, next game is Backgammon. We had a bit of confusion on this one. Basically, it was a 3-point game, and I know we've had a couple of people comment on it being a 3-point game so far. We decided to do a compromise of just whoever won this this match that I fast forwarded to would score the point. But the reason why I'm doing 3-point matches so far is mainly because of time constraints, because you can play 5 games of Backgammon to end up in a 3-point game, like with someone winning, and that will take a long time. Obviously there is the doubler, but people don't have to use the doubler. So in the off season we are actually going to allow people to choose their own rules. So if you want, you can pick 3-point game, 5-point game. I mean, you could pick 9-inning toy baseball if you really wanted to, but please don't. Yeah, so basically, it's not a rule for now, but mainly because of time constraints. But in the future, in maybe board game tournaments, we will allow a 3-point game instead of just a single game.
So, like, in this game, we were basically told in the middle it was supposed to be like a single game instead of a 3-point match.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like, I only realised what was going on halfway through because there were 2 matches going on at the same time. Also, this is a really good position for John, getting a double 6 here.
So, I was given the option to just take my win from the first game and have that count as like
Yeah.
the decider, or to like just play this game instead, and then have just double up until it's until it wins. So I decided to allow to basically let this game happen, the second one.
Are you guys finished your match or still going?
Mostly because I don't think the first one was entirely fair as a single game. Since
Yeah.
I decided to make a risky double and John decided to pass.
Yeah, I'm only realising now that it was actually a forfeit there, so no one actually finished that round technically.
So John making a very risky play, taking that.
Yeah,
Right
a lot of the
back
time
on.
the misconception of capturing pieces always being a good thing, but managing to get out.
So in the first game, John was just kind of fumbling around. Here, he's kind of realizing he at least needs to protect his pieces a bit.
Yeah, and right now there's only there's a couple of vulnerable pieces, but yeah, and
I'd
as
say
we can see here, it can be captured.
Necessary risks, but
Just lost your factory, reset,
like you're gonna see
factory
that's
streak to the
more
shape
than
of
enough.
Ryan once more. What a great day to be alive. Had to leave for a bit. Need to leave. It was fun watching. No worries. Meow strawberries.
Deciding to put that piece past all of John's pieces, great strategy in my opinion. If you don't have a safe spot to put something with a roll, just put something all the way past all of the opposing pieces, and there's nothing they can do to capture it anyways.
Yeah, here John's not really entirely sure what to do, and yeah, leaving 2 pieces vulnerable there, which is probably not a favourable choice. Even if you moved one from the stack of 5, it would have only left 1 vulnerable. But
Here, I think the best decision to go with would have been to move the farthest piece to the last square, because it leaves no pieces vulnerable there. Here, brassbeat smartly deciding, you know what, we'll protect our pieces there, and then we can move later to capture, potentially. Because remember, if brassbeat were to capture that there, he still has that one vulnerable piece in the back.
Brassbeat having the opportunity to move that piece onto the stack, making all of the pieces safe now. Yeah, going for that. I think that's a good decision.
Yeah, for certain. Moving your furthest back pieces forward is never, or almost never, a bad decision.
I think this is another point John's realising there has to be, now the way he's played it, another piece vulnerable, but if they're in his area, for now, it's not going to matter, but that one, now that it's there, Brassbeat, if he gets a 1, would be able to get that captured. And obviously now there's a few stacks in Brassbeat's area, it could lead to some dances.
Yeah. It is something you never want to see, someone completely locked out.
Welcome back, WizKids. Thought we'd pop in before you go live. How is everything? We're just commentating on some past matches from last week, and then going to get those up on the YouTube channel. Apart from that, it's going pretty well, yeah. Yeah, so here's the point that that it was doubled up to make sure it was all in one game. But yeah. Hope you enjoy your stream, Wiz. And I'll probably raid you if there's no one else. That's my general rule. If I've got no one else to raid, then I'll raid you. Yeah, doubling up to 4 points here, making sure that that's where the game ends. And yeah, again, yeah, nice decision with the 1 to move it onto the other stack.
And not only does that move a piece from a safe spot to a safe spot, it also moves the piece from outside of the home to inside of the home, which is always something you want to be remembering to do.
So yeah, being given a chance to move that piece into safety, good idea. Even though it's only a 4 and a 1, it's still enough to move it away from possible capture.
I kind of feel like my last turn was a slight misplay, leaving 3 at the far left. Since it can happen that it can very easily happen that you're forced to move those multiple times, and then if there's 3 left, then you're more likely to leave something unsafe.
Yeah, see you, Wiz. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for playing your match. Good luck in the rest of the bracket as well.
I'm getting another really nice double 6 here. It's not going to help him as much as it could have, just based on the positioning of his 2 furthest back pieces.
Yeah.
Both of them are blocked by a 6, so he can't do anything about that, but still able to make a lot of progress, gaining back some of the momentum.
Yeah, and I think that was the second double 6 of this game for John.
Yes.
As well.
John, however, still definitely been put on the back foot by some unfortunate captures. Deciding to move that piece in, I definitely like the risk taking here. It's something that you've got to do in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, Brassbeat taking the taking 1 piece in, so it's a potential capture here for John. And I don't know if he goes for it. Looks like he does, but then that's also risky for John because there's 2 chances to get captured himself.
Yes, but I think it's a risk that needs to be taken at this point because John is just so far behind Brassbeat. And it does pay off. So now not only is... John not able to capture immediately, but also has the chance to potentially capture brassbeat's pieces again. And now with 3 blocked spaces, it's even more favorable. But brassbeat able to get out.
Looks like John could
Fish.
again capture. Looks like he does go for it as well.
Yes, and again, this is the risks that you have to take when you're put on the back foot early.
Yeah, and that it did pay off. Double 3 there by brassbeat. It's gonna
You're
get a
gonna
good
see
dance,
just
unfortunately.
getting punished massively by
And here, the 4 is absolutely massive for John. He can protect his lone square on the 2, but decides not to. And it does not help there.
Yeah, so John now getting a piece captured. Only one option for
unable to protect his pieces, has to make the 6 unsafe.
Yeah.
Luckily gets a dance.
Yeah, that was
The double 4.
That was a big misplay here. Like, it's kind of the theme here that I get punished for my small misplays, but not for my big ones.
Yeah, so John, I think seeing the fact that he could move 20 spaces all the way to a capture, got kind of mesmerized by that. It did pay off, getting a 6 and a 3 led to a dance.
I mean, I think that's the only thing you can do at this point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just very clean. And now able to protect that piece, having 4 spaces that are completely covered makes it more favorable to get a dance than not.
Yeah, yet another dance there with a 5-3, giving John a little bit of a chance.
Now things get interesting though, because it's really very soon going to be a race. One, 2 allows brassbeat to get back on the board, but not out. So it's still very dicey in here.
And John, yeah, again going for the capture.
Is just not a good roll.
Unlucky with a double 5 wasted again to a dance.
Oh.
John getting a bit lucky there.
Yeah, definitely.
Chances of getting
Could
a
have cost
2
him.
there would have been about 1 in 4.
Because there's always that slight chance if that piece got captured that right now brassbeat has 4
now-
columns where it could be a dance.
John just continually getting the luck to dodge the captures in this late game.
Yeah, so here it's possible
And that's going to be
for John to make those pieces safe. He does go and do that, which is the best play.
Yes, for certain. And now, essentially, if brassbeat gets out and also rolls a 6, then it's essentially just over.
Double
because-
4 there for John.
Yeah, double 4 is a good roll for John. Gets a lot of pieces past there. In fact, gets most of his pieces past that 5. And gets him a lot closer to sealing the deal here. Getting those lucky captures and having the luck to just not get captured in return has really ended up paying off. But a double 4 for brassbeat does give him a little bit of an extra push to what he needs, because now he's got all his pieces in the home and it's a dead race. But John, this is the 3rd double 4 that's been rolled in a row.
Yeah, crazy.
And
Oh,
that
Jesus.
should just about seal the deal. With all of John's pieces on the 2 and 1 pips, it is a maximum now of 5 turns for John to win. So brassbeat has to do it all by then. And to do that is going to need at least 2 doubles, possibly 3.
Yeah, now only 6 pieces left. Oh, sorry, 7 pieces left. I can't count for John. And all very close to the home as well, only in columns 1 and 2. Down to 5 now. And brassbeat does get a double 1, but it's only...
It's only a double 1, and double 1 is just not enough. You need at least double 2 here to move off all your 2s. But double 1 just doesn't cut it here.
Yeah, it only really... It gave him 2 pieces, and then it also let 2 spaces, like... It cut down 2 spaces for
And now
the
John
future rolls, but that's it.
turns away from winning, and it is no longer possible for brassbeat to win.
Yep, so John getting 6-3. And then brassbeat getting a double 4. It's gonna...
It's too little,
It's
too late
a
for
bit.
John.
Yeah,
for
and now
brassbeat.
John getting a 4-3. So that's the end of the game. So it's 2-1 now to brassbeat still. So it comes down to the final game to decide whether we have a decided game 5 or not. And the final game ends up being chess, I believe. Yeah. So John's starting off with a double pawn, and remember, this is from John's perspective, so white pieces are John, and brassbeat is playing the black pieces. Yeah, John's starting off with moving the pawn straight forward, but brassbeat going for the knight, moving it straight out, and John copying that move, pretty much.
So, like, at this point, I was not really sure how good John is at chess. I'm, like, competent at it, but
Yeah,
that's about it, really.
yeah, not amazing, but can still hold your ground against an average player.
That move there, moving the pawn to b4, is not... It's a bit of a dubious move. It's not exactly structurally sound. It does
Like,
prevent
kind
the
of-
immediate threat of c4 from brassbeat's side, but it weakens the pawn structure a bit. It really traps the black squared bishop for white, and it does literally put the pawn free for John after that e6 move. So having to either protect it or move it, and it's just a dire spot right now. But the pawn on b5 is a bit of a threat here. It really blockades brassbeat quite a bit. He's going to have to exchange for that, and that's not going to be favorable for brassbeat. Although he could
in this
play
case,
a4, get a half open tile.
Yeah, I decided to just... I think I decided to just develop the knight on d7. I can't remember, really.
Yeah, brassbeat moving the knight
Getting
forward.
getting the control of the center is really what's important here. And now John's got his knight on the outside, which is never where you want to see a knight. And deciding to exchange on the c file, I think this is not exactly what you want. I think you want to move the a pawn there to a6 for the exchange, because it opens up the file for your rook. It lets you put your bishop on a6, which is a really nice square to be controlling right now. And that move does allow brassbeat to take a free pawn should he choose.
Yeah, it does elect to do that in the end. First capture being the pawn there.
That was not the free pawn. The free pawn was the pawn on g4. Knight takes g4 being just a completely free move. But now that pawn is protected by the knight. So the knight will have to be taken out of the way before that pawn can be captured now.
I personally felt like just going for a one pawn advantage so early on is a bit sketchy.
Here, developing the knight here to put pressure on the opposing knight is definitely a decent consideration to be made. Allows for the exchange and taking the pawn back. In fact, I think this can result in up to a 2-pawn advantage for brassbeat. If the exchange goes unfavorably, but
Yeah, so moving the pawn forward there by brassbeat. And then
yeah, I really
capture
like
that one.
this move. This is a very forcing move. It forces that pawn to be dealt with, and now it can be captured by either the knight or the bishop.
Which is captured by the knight now by brassbeat. Now giving John the chance to capture the knight.
Yes. So this exchange really works out in black's favor.
Yeah, brassbeat now
Because
getting that bishop
he ends it
forward.
with a tempo, and then taking another pawn.
Yeah, and
Should
right
so
since the
choose.
start, that bishop has actually been in that spot where it could move forward and cause a check, but right now, obviously, it got a capture and then got the check. Now taking the queen as
Blocking
well
with the queen
is
is
massive there.
absolutely, like, right there, you're losing a knight anyways, because you have to block with the bishop, and then the knight is on prise. But blocking with the queen is definitely the worst way to lose material here.
Yeah.
The queen being such a valuable piece. Here you can even play something like, if you don't want to take on g4, you can even play something like knight to e4, threatening the bishop, forcing an exchange. Or, oh, that's a pretty deadly move. Queen to d6, it threatens the knight on the edge of the board on a3. That's just not the way to go. That exchange, again, works out in black's favor. A pawn for a bishop, you always want to take the bishop there.
Yeah, John does try to challenge the queen there, but I don't think it really pays off very much.
Yeah, the thing is, the queen is fairly trapped here, actually. It doesn't have many good spaces to go to. In fact, any space it wants to be on that diagonal, it will be able to be captured unless it retreats. Here, I think the best move is to do exactly that. Put it on c6, threaten the knight again, force it to retreat itself. And then you can, again, go for an idea like even knight to e4.
Yeah, another massive capture there with
take
the rook.
free rook
Yeah.
as well. And now white is in a
Yeah,
very
that pretty
dire
much
situation.
just ensures the win, really. Like, if John can somehow escape this, he's already down a rook now, and a queen from before. Massive amount of
Yes, there's
pieces
just
gone.
at this point it's just too much material. Unless something crazy can be pulled off, it's not happening. Here, a really, really powerful move for black again. Knight to e4, just solidifying that position. Or even more threatening, you can play queen to b1 or g2 rather. You can even take the a1 pawn, and queen to b2 or g2 looks like it was considered there. Is a really strong move. It threatens a mate in 1, and the only way to stop it is to move the king out or to move the bishop.
Yeah,
Instead,
no,
deciding to just take the free pawn on a2, definitely a solid move regardless. And now the knight is hanging. There's just too much material right now to be made up for.
And now the knight as well.
check,
Now putting John into check.
This is actually just mate in 2.
Yeah, and I
The
think that is
only
what
safe
happens here.
move here for John is to move the bishop back to c1,
checkmate,
and after that, queen takes bishop is mate.
Yep, and it's checkmate. So that ends up being, I believe, 3-1 to brassbeat. That ends the set. So, yeah, that is the final outcome. The full stats breakdown is in the description of the video. But as a recap, Hare and Hounds, brassbeat win. Toy baseball was skipped. Riichi was brassbeat. Backgammon went to John, and chess went to brassbeat. So 3-1 in the end. Yeah, other links as well in the description of other events we'll be doing in the future. And yeah, hope to see you soon.